Show for today. We're talking to Dr. LMadu, and he's given us some information in reference to the organization of the Muslim Brotherhood, as well as additional information dealing with this spiritual political organization, Dr. LMadu, I think we might say. Why don't you go on and pick up at that point, Dr. LMadu?
Like I said, in the mid-1930s to late-1930s, his organization that was originally founded, as a religious organization to oppose, Western influence in the Middle East, gradually started taking a political face. They started opposing French and British colonial rule in the Middle East. Once they returned to the Suez Canal, to Egypt, and also started criticizing and opposing King Farouk and his court, which he believed was corrupt. Inevitably, there has to be a conflict with the authorities. The authorities were getting scared and frightened about Banner's growing power with the masses, because everything he was saying was what the majority of Egyptians wanted, for themselves. So that was threatened to the court. So in 1948, the organization was banned, by the government of Egypt. Its assets impounded, and a lot of its, members arrested. However, that same year, a Muslim Brotherhood member assassinated the Prime Minister, Mamdouh Pasha, in 1948. Well, in 1949, most people regard it as a retaliation. Banner himself was assassinated in February, 1949. After he was assassinated, his second in command, so-called, a man called Sayyid Qutb, took over. When Qutb took over, the organization became more radical. Qutb was also an Islamic scholar and intellectual. In fact, he was the godfather of Osama bin Laden and his current, Ayman al-Zawahiri. All of them grew under his tutelage. So he became the spiritual guide of the Brotherhood. So it didn't take time for 1952 to come around. The Egyptian free officers overthrew King Farouk, and Abdul Nasser came to power. When Nasser came to power, the Brotherhood, they wanted to come out and say, hey, Nasser, we support you, you and the officers. So Nasser welcomed them back. Remember, they were banned in 48. So Nasser welcomed them back, and Nasser was talking with Qutb all the time, seeking his advice. But in 1954, a Brotherhood member wanted to assassinate Nasser. But they fired some shots at him at a meeting. So Nasser got mad, banned the organization, arrested all its members. In 1966, Qutb was executed, after he was tried and accused of attempting to assassinate Abdul Nasser. That was in 66. So he stayed banned until Anwar Sadat came to power in 1971. When Sadat came to power in 71, he started releasing people, from jail and cracked down on a lot of the activities of Egyptian secret police. So he unbanned the Brotherhood in a way and brought them back into spheres of political life halfway. However, in 1981, Sadat was assassinated by members of the Muslim Brotherhood, even though they went by the name of Islamic Jihad. But the guy who fired the shot that killed Sadat, Lieutenant Ahmed Islambouli, is a member of the Egyptian army, but he was a secret member of the Brotherhood. Mohammed Zumor, who was the brainchild of the plan to kill Sadat, was also a secret member of the Brotherhood Egyptian army. Zawahiri, who is now head of the Al-Qaeda, was a member of that group too, Islamic Jihad. So after Sadat's assassination, Mubarak took over. And Mubarak cracked down on them, executed those that needed to be executed, threw others in jail, including Zawahiri, the current head of Al-Qaeda. So they stayed, they went underground as usual when Mubarak cracked down. So in 82, the big rebellion in Hama, Syria happened. A branch of the Muslim Brotherhood in Hama rebelled against President Assad of Syria. Assad sent his brother, Rifat al-Assad, who was the commander of the elite unit, to go down to Hama and put the rebellion down. In a matter of weeks, 10,000 people were slaughtered by the Syrian army, and the rebellion was put down. So since then, the Brotherhood has been quiet. Then after the overthrow of Mubarak, you know, they brought their head up again as the Egyptian Freedom and Justice Party. That was under the umbrella which Morsi ran for election. So Morsi ran for election last year and won as a member of the Brotherhood. Now the problem is, how is Morsi going to govern? You know, since he came to power, he has been issuing some decrees and trying to accumulate powers himself, trying to circumvent the justice system and all that. So people are getting very, you know, very angry in Egypt. A lot of the Christians are running away now, immigrating to the United States and to Europe. Women are scared, you know, they might have to become second class again after years of, you know, being
liberation.
Exactly. So all those things are getting people mad. Now, the United States itself has a off-hands approach. In fact, last year President Obama said, look, Egypt is not our friend, they're not our enemy. Even though they receive about $3 billion from us every year. Yeah, because he's not sure which way the wind is going to blow with Mohamed Morsi. Now, one of the key tenets of Hassan al-Banna's, you know, this thing was the installation of a one-party theocratic state in Egypt, you know, governed by the laws of the Quran. Morsi is a strong supporter and believer of Hassan al-Banna. So people are beginning to say, well, Morsi might eventually, you know, gradually bring in a theocratic state into Egypt.
Is that the center of most of his opposition in Egypt? Many people oppose him, and that's why they oppose the Egyptian Brotherhood in a real sense?
Absolutely, because they are scared they are going to introduce a theocratic state, and that would be the end of free and fair elections. You know, in Iran since '79, if you don't belong to the party of the mullahs, you are frozen. So they feel that is going to happen in Egypt, that Morsi is going to eventually introduce a theocratic state in Egypt. So that's creating a whole lot of problems. And that's the crux of the whole Muslim Brotherhood philosophy. It's a rule by the Quran and by God. And most Egyptians, at least half Egyptians, are opposed to that kind of government. That's the importance of the Brotherhood today in the politics of the Middle East.
Very good. And of course, let us take this final commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.